The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. No, I am not in an outfit today. I am not in costume because last week when I tried it, I ended up getting served with papers, which I have to go to court for on Friday. Go figure. Not because of the costume, but yeah, but kind of relates to the costume. I'll tell you that story after the judge clears me. However, good morning. We made it. Memorial Day weekend. Salute to everybody in the armed services. Thank you for your service. And to all of those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, thank you. We are at officially the end of the spring regular season because we had the last game of the regular season played yesterday, which we will touch on. But before I do, let me just make sure that everything is good and tap in everybody in the area. Hope everybody's having an awesome weekend. It's not hot outside, which is not the greatest thing, but at least it's not cold outside. Regular season. There we go. What up, what up? So as I tap everybody in, please help me out and share the live. Welcome in all of our groups in the area. All the forums in the area. Players Lounge. East Coast Shade Room, Independent Forums, New York Football Group, National Players Association, New York Football Appreciation, LDFL page, which I think some people still check that out. I gotta update my list so I can make sure everybody taps in. The New England forum, they change their forum all the time based on who taps in. Dogs Only, I'm not sure if Dogs Only is active anymore, but gotta get a list of the new forums. Big East Football, Midwest. And yeah, if you have one that I missed, Semipro Headquarters and the national team. In the spring, talking shit, EFA Uncensored, I think is pretty much dead, but I give it a try too. All right, cool. And welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm checking the comments, and boy, yes indeed, we are ready to roll. Yes, no, I didn't get served with a cease and desist. No, I actually got served with an order of protection, because you know, Patt is a big, scary guy. Booga, 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 booga. Yes. So, no, I did not get a cease and desist. The cease and desist, you don't have to go to court for. Yeah, I got served being the Pope. NFA starts this week. All right. Good morning. Yeah. I got served with a full, with an order of protection. Yes. So, I got the Free the Homie Patterson t-shirts coming with me in the Pope outfit on the t-shirt, so look out for that coming soon. I've heard the stories about this process. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I know Molly was talking yesterday. Among other things, she made up a good point. But among other things about being in bookings with peanut butter sandwiches, I think that's the term, and milk. I think that's what you get when you get the bookings or what have you. So. Yeah, it's a crazy world out there. Go fig. So yes, I'm definitely not going to go to trial with my with my Pope outfit on, because that probably would be a bad look. But nonetheless, you got to protect your right to freedom of speech, and that's what you got to do. So yeah, but at least I didn't get taken. Okay, so very briefly, because it has nothing to do with football. In my 44 years on this earth, I have never been served a order of protection ever. Toxic women, nope. I've actually, in my younger days, I know I'm out of shape now, I've actually punched people in the face and have you know, handled business. Don't gotta say no names, but never have I ever got served an order of protection, and a national MAGA figure served me with a cease and desist. Not cease and desist. You got me messed up there, Kelly Davis. Served me with an order of protection. Yes, a national figure who's on like OAN. If you don't know what OAN is, it's the Republican version of CNN. Dude's written books. Yeah, it's wild. But that's a story for another day. Let's get to football, shall we? Last day of the regular season was yesterday. The Kingston Lions soundly beat the Hurricanes 19-0, I believe was the final score. Something came up about and the Kingston Lions said beforehand that they had been missing their kicker for a majority of the season, or pretty much the entire season. So they brought out their kicker yesterday, last game of the regular season. So as a result of that, there was some questions about the validity of the legality of the player playing in the last week of the season. So as I know the rules, during the course of the regular season, the only players that you can play are players on your roster. So if the player appears on your roster, it doesn't matter if their first week playing is the first week of the season or the last week of the season. They are legally allowed to play. The reason why they're not playing is no business of the leagues or anybody else's, doesn't matter. However, and this is where we get to what really matters going forward. I don't say what actually matters because it all matters. What matters going forward is that if that player did not play in 4 games, only Molly had questions. Okay, no, I don't think that was fair. But even if Molly was the only one that had questions, I always support the question. And, you know, he mentioned the whole snitching thing and the rat and whatever. And I've always been a proponent of, look, this is not the law. This is not, you know, people being victimized or anything like that. So if you believe somebody's breaking the rule, bring it up. Especially because if somebody gets away with breaking rules, later on, people are going to be like, well, you let this person do that, you let that guy do that, so now we got to let everybody do what the fuck they want. And that's pretty much what led to the downfall of the TFL, 100%. You could argue, I mean, people argue about the ending of the TFL due to their own personal interests in terms of the factors or whatever, but the bottom line is once the TFL stopped following rules, that's what led to its downfall. However, at the same time, Molly brings up a good point. I can't believe I just said that. But Molly brings up a good point. So because this game was played on makeup weekend, and it had major playoff implications, it even sounded like when he was talking, because he said it doesn't matter, but it does, that it was a regular season game. It had the feel of a playoff game, but it was a regular season, I even fucked it up. It was a regular season game. So if that player touched the field for the first time the last week of the season, as long as they're on the roster, it was absolutely legal and there is no forfeit. Definitely not. So the Kingston Lions followed the rules. They absolutely played and won the game and earned their seating in the playoff. And the Canes had every opportunity to earn their playoff spot. They didn't. They didn't score a point. That's not okay. And they go into the off season, and we'll talk about that in a second as well, because I got a cool little exercise for today as well. I'm avoiding the Pope outfit because I don't want to end up on trial for. Yeah, I got shit to do the rest of the year. With that being said, the player from here on out has to play. It would have to play for. Thanks, Sadiq. Retired Patt not playing any games. You have to play 4 games in order to be eligible for the playoffs. So that Kingston Lions kicker, let's call it, what do you want? The punter, the kicker, who they definitely needed in the Green Wave game, 100%. That would have helped them out. Not to say they would have won the game, but it definitely would have helped them out. They had to play in 4 games, and because of, and you guys give him hell, Sean Spencer's idea. I think it was like 5-6 years ago, to do a video check-in at every game to verify that the player has been there. because players were doing the whole okie doke, not showing up or what have you, and saying, yeah, I was there, blah, 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 blah. Videotaping, this is my name, this is my number, I'm here, checking in. Now, if they don't actually play in the game, it's irrelevant because they were there. You can't make a coach put a player on the field. So, literally, the purpose of the rule, and this is actually pretty good because this is always debated. Well, they didn't play in any game, like they didn't play, they were there, they checked in, and then they left, and this, that. Look, what are you looking for? There are players that are not very good at all that don't touch the field. Does that mean they're ineligible for the playoffs? Because they're at every game, they're not touching the field. I saw one player that was hanging out with his family the whole entire game. He didn't even sniff the field the other week. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can only do but so much. So asking all players on roster to be physically at the location 4 times, that's what it is. So if that player, the punter, has not played in 4 games and does not have, let me try this again. Because I'm about to fuck up because this is how specific you have to be with the rules. If the punter does not have his face on video at 4 of the check-in videos, he's not going to be playing in the playoffs, and that's the rule. So I'll even take it even further. This is my opinion. This is not rule. My opinion. One of the best seasons we had in the IFA when the Patriots lost to the Falcons in the championship game. One thing that was done, and oh my God, I'm forgetting the woman's name, and she's going to absolutely punch me in the face when she sees me. My God. Connecticut Falcons, their general manager, forgetting her name. My apologies. It's been a long time. You can help me in the comments if you know the woman's name. Miss, oh my God. But nonetheless, she checked the rosters prior. We had 2 weeks before, in between the semifinals and the championship game. She checked the rosters and checked the IDs for the games, for the championship game. Not only that, what we did was we sent our active playoff rosters into the league literally on Monday. We understood. We sent our roster into the league, our playoff roster, saying these are the players we believe are eligible for the playoffs that have played in 4 games, and we sent it in. The other side, in this case the Falcons, and in their case the Patriots, received the list, and whatever it is, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it, pettiness, whatever you want to call it, or just enforcing the rules, whatever you want to call it, they were given the list on Monday. By Wednesday, hey, whoever you have an issue with, whoever you're challenging, whoever you don't think has the requisite amount of games, please highlight those names, send it back to the other team, and they got to prove that that player checked in 4 times. Cool. I sent my list, they sent their list. They highlighted a few names, we highlighted a few names, we swapped, we said, hey, we got video on these guys. Shit, this guy was missing a game. Damn, okay, he can't play. We X'd them off the list. They did the same thing with theirs. And then by Thursday or Friday, we had a playoff or a championship roster, which had eliminated everybody that was on the general roster and just relegated those to who was eligible for to play in the championship game. And on game day, those were the only players that were allowed on the sideline, the ones that checked in with an ID and their identifying number. And that was the same. Miss Erica. Was it Erica? No, it wasn't Erica. Erica is Munoz's wife. It was the other one. Oh golly, Bramel's either mother or aunt. I forgot which one it was. Tammy. It was a Tammy. Tammy Bramel. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm so glad I got that on my own, because then she's going to absolutely freak out on me. So the fact that we had worked that out, and by the way, this is what causes a lot of issues in leagues, is when owners wait till the last minute to do these challenges and bring up names and such, instead of the league taking initiative and saying, hey, look, let's just work this out on Monday, figure out who's eligible and who's not eligible by Wednesday, and then all of the arguings and such can be done before we even touch the field. So question, what if you were hurt, you can't play? You have to be, regardless if you were hurt, not hurt, or whatever, if you're on 4 check-ins, that's how, Tammy B, yeah. Somebody tell Molly, send me my money. So regardless, if you have to be in 4 check-ins. You could be hurt. You could literally be in a body cast, in a neck brace, on the video with your jersey on saying, hey, I'm checking in. My name is Patterson. I play left bench. And it's funny because with the Patriots, we did the check-in, and the guys were so used to the check-in, I would even tease them and say, like, do the introduction from, like, Monday Night Football. My name is Marquise Jernigan, a.k.a. Primetime, #1, and I went to Nassau Nursery School, or the U, or, all that shit, just to make it fun because the players have their own warm-up routine and they want to avoid it, but it made it so fun. So what's the verdict, Pack? Either way, next week is next week. Good morning. Where's the barbecue? That's a good question. I'm going to NYCFC game at 3, and then after that, I'm down to barbecue. So, yes, but the chatting, I wouldn't call it chatting. It's legitimate, but it was just mistimed because that was a regular season game. As long as he's on the roster, he was eligible to play, and those are the rules. So no, if you want, and this is the thing, everybody wants the rules enforced per the letter of the law when it's their people. So you need to take everybody's challenge seriously. I know it's tough, and I'll be the first one to say it's tough, especially when it's Molly talking about the rules, but you can't dismiss the rules because you get into a culture where rules are dismissed. And again, we saw that have really bad consequences in the past. That's very simple. Why don't owners meet before playoffs and sit down? Again, my experience, that's the best way to do it. I think that the Big East should call the teams that are in the playoffs in for a conference call. They may be doing this, by the way. I don't know. Again, I'm on the outside looking in. People asking me for the verdict and this and that. They don't listen to me. Like that. I'm just a guy with a show right now. I'm retired. I'm retired. I'm not in any Big East meetings or any semi-pro meetings at this point. The only meetings I'm in are in media meetings. So, but I would say it's a good idea to have the owners in on a meeting, have all the owners put in a roster of who is eligible, who they're playing for the playoffs, and make it public information, or at least public in that circle. And any owner in that circle that sees the rosters, if they see somebody that they don't want or don't want, that they think is illegal or ineligible, boom. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Because again, I've heard it, and this happened to Jim Simpson, because Jim is one of those guys who was like, let them all play. I don't care. You can bring LT in. It doesn't matter. We're going to play football. And then one year, he let another team play their players, and then he got his players taken off the field, and then it turned into, again, an issue. So that's why you want to handle whatever it is that resolution is, get it done early. I got charges, so I'm valid now. Might be having points. He got... Yeah, it's just that when he starts talking about male genitalia, he loses me. But other than that, he's a brilliant dude and has great ideas. I still don't like him, but he's a brilliant dude and has really good ideas. I'm just looking for my ashtray for a second. But, okay. So what else is going on? So we now have the playoffs set, and with the playoffs being set, my camera's cool. Any other questions on that? That was in the bookings, yeah. Yeah, this dude tried to get me. That was crazy. Anyway, so let's go really quickly. Oh, I'm gonna go to the magic board. And then I'm going to go to the whiteboard. Here we go. First thing we got to talk about is this Nationals team for Minor League Football Report. They're the ones that do the Hall of Fame that you see the chatter about. Big shout out to Rob Esquivel and JP, who are JP is a representative for the area. It's a national Hall of Fame and a national semi-pro organization that does amazing things. Last year, when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was able to coach for this Nationals team against a team from the United Kingdom. And it was really cool. First of all, coaching a game in Las Vegas is pretty dope. And this year, they are actually going to Hawaii. So the Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame. And let me say this as well, because I know when the Hall of Fame nominations, which are supposed to be out already, by the way. So if there's anybody that you feel that should be nominated for the Hall of Fame, don't wait until other people get nominated and you see somebody's name and then you get all tight and then you do the whole Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Beyonce thing and embarrass yourself. So this year, however, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is going to be in Hawaii. It's not going to be in Vegas. So the other thing is, whoever it is that you nominate, in order for, if they are Hall of Fame worthy, and JP can speak better on the qualifications for that than I can, but if they are, if they do get through and are nominated for induction, then they have to go to Hawaii. It was December 4th, I believe. December 3rd or December 4th, because there's a Hall of Fame induction and then there's the game. And the game is the Nationals team. I'm not sure who we're playing, but I'll be coaching in that game on the Big Island, Honolulu, and it's a pretty dope experience. One of my players, Tyreek Mines, played it last year. Put it out to the Gators, put it out to the Patriots guys, everybody who's uptown, and a few of them applied. You know, it is an expense. I booked my flight to Hawaii. I think round trip was like $500 or $500 and change, something like that. The hotel wasn't half bad, nonstop flight. So, you know, if you're not doing anything, December, again, I think the game's December 4th. Obviously, you have to do a couple of days because there is practices and stuff like that. But if you're looking for more information, I will post the man's information, Rob Esquibel. You do need film, so it's not just like a sign up and play type of thing. It is a very competitive team. I saw them last year. I was a receivers coach, which is kind of awesome. And I had receivers from, I think, the New York Bears. Big shout out, Rob Taunt, who I definitely butchered your last name, from the New York Bears, the center. Very good guy, really good dude. He's like a captain on that particular team. But I had receivers from New Mexico, from freaking Louisiana, all over the place. Really, really dope experience. And you know, you meet people from around. You know how I like traveling, so you want to play in Hawaii, that's the team to do it with, I should say. So we got this weekend. How we looking? It's now playoffs, man. So in the Big East, you got the Crusaders going against the Wolfpack. That's the 6 versus 3 game. That is a rematch of last year's big upset in the semifinal round, which is dope. Now, the Wolfpack open as a 5.5 point favorite. They are the higher seed, but keep in mind, how much of a spread was this going to be, being that the Crusaders played the Wolfpack they always play the Wolfpack pretty tough, but on top of it, they bumped them out of the playoffs last year. Now, are the Wolfpack, do they have like revenge on their mind? Well, they're not really on social media like that, really chatting about this or that, so it's hard to get a beat. But I don't know, if the Wolfpack were everybody's preseason picks to get to the championship last year, and it was a shocker when they got bumped, like really shocked. So maybe they have revenge on their mind. So maybe 5.5 isn't enough points, but that's what I'm comfortable giving at this particular point. 31.5 on the over/under, because neither of these teams really scored that many points. So you figure 2 touchdowns apiece, give or take on the conversions, maybe a safety in there. So that's how you end up with 31.5. In the other wild card game, this is not the semifinals, that would be next week. The New York Dolphins secure the 5 seed, and then the Kingston Lions, by way of their win against the Canes, move into the 4 spot to host the playoff game. So you have the Lions hosting, so as the higher seed, they have a 3.5 point favorite, 28.5 points, because again, score's been pretty low, so I think I'm pretty good with that over/under. Slight edge to the Kingston Lions. Dolphins on the road, but this one probably is the game of the week right here. In the NEAFL semifinals, again after a week off, so everybody should be healthy and ready to roll. This is gonna be a heck of a game. The Owls, Coach Lester's got those guys playing again against the undefeated #1 New Jersey Militia. 12.5-point favorite, and I'll read you the experts' analysis of that in a few. And in the other side of the bracket, Wilmington Wolfpack as the 3 seed against the New Jersey Unit. Unit's one of the hotter teams in football right now. They open as a 6.5-point favorite. Over-under on that one is 31.5. In the ECFL Championship, this is going to be a great one too. East Coast Cardinals versus the Connecticut Falcons. Falcons 2.5-point favorite, 31.5 overall. I hope it's better than the 2-0 game that they played in week 1, but we're back to it. The Cardinals offense has, and that's really what's going to make the difference in that game is, can the Cardinals offense, who now has woken up, what can they do against the Connecticut Falcons defense? So we should see more than a 2-0 game on that. And that is the playoff picture. So you have, see the Bleezy breakdown, I know it's backwards on this one. The 3 remaining undefeated teams are the Militia, the Green Wave, and the Connecticut Falcons. So we will see the Green Wave have off this week. Falcons have the championship game, and the Militia are in the semifinals. So we shall see if Green Wave will remain undefeated because they're not playing. Let's see if the other 2 remain undefeated going into next week, going into June. So that is that. Let me go back to comments. Yeah, 500 round trip to Hawaii, super cheap and nonstop. Yeah. What about coaching for that Nationals team? You can ask Rob about that because I'm not sure if they need coaches. Yeah, you'd have to ask Rob about that. And of course, with Joe Ward last game. Wow, that's crazy. Oh yeah, that Ward's a player. Sure enough is. That's good. I know he had a coaches meeting the other day. He didn't say that he needed coaches, but you never know. That's pretty much it. Okay, so let's have some fun, shall we? You do very good entertaining. Got charges. Cool. Okay, cool. So let me flip camera because we're going to do a little bit of an activity. I want to make sure that you guys could see. All right, here we go. So last week we talked about the football gods, right? And that ended up with me getting served an order of protection. That's not fun. So hopefully this week we can be a little bit more diplomatic, shall we? So this week's theme is going to be stocks. And since we're at the end of the regular season, we're going to do the semi-pro stock exchange. Talking about, let me make sure I'm in camera, talking about teams and whether their season this year has led their stock to go up or to go down. You see what the game is? Cool. All right. So let me get the comments ready just so you can tell me if you agree or disagree. Beautiful. So we're going to do this because I don't want to do all 20 some odd teams that are in the region. We're going to do, of course, the Big East for a little bit of homers, and I know Drewski's in the signed on to the show and watching, so he always, for the love of the towns, wants to include everybody in the Big East. And then we have this the foreign exchange. That would be the Nikkei and all those other foreign things. We picked out a few players in there so we can analyze them as well, and we'll take it from there. So, in our semi-pro stock exchange, so let's talk about really quickly the Green Wave. Green Wave had a rough time last year. This year, football-wise, got themselves together, got some pieces, brought back some pieces that they had previously that worked out really well. So I don't think anybody on the planet, especially being that they're sitting here undefeated and the number 1 seed, will say that the Green Wave, their stock is up and up big. Does anybody disagree? Please let me know in the comments. I didn't think so. So, is this stock a buy, a sell, or a hold? Well, I think it's a buy because Green Wave stock is going up. Will the landscape change next year so that the Green Wave will not be one of the contending teams and such? I don't think so. I think we had a really solid year that has some staying power. Is there another league on the horizon? Doesn't seem so, but again, all that really depends on a few factors. But what would usually tip you off as to if another league was going to pop up or this or that, or if there are splits going on, is you would hear the chaos, you would hear people, pissed off and this and that. And even the ones that are not really winning are not really complaining about league issues and this and that, and nearly all the drama that we had last year with some things that were going on. So I'll keep that at a buy. So New England Golden Lions. New England Golden Lions competed in the ECFL last year. I teased them about that, but again, they had to compete in their area. This year, they made the jump. That was a big jump. So they were one of the more riskier stocks, if you will, but they landed pretty well and ended up being undefeated except for last week of the season where they lost to the #1 team that was undefeated. So I don't think, without a doubt, anybody's going to tell me that the Golden Lions stock is not up from last year. They had a championship game appearance last year, and then in the off season, they went to Vegas, so they started it high. Did making the transition to the Big East lower their stock? I don't think it did. I'm a little biased in that, but I don't think it did. Let me know. Were the Golden Lions a hotter ticket last year than this year? Maybe my New England folk can tell me. So, Golden Lions, I'd say that's a buy. Wolfpack. Now, this is where we get a little bit more intriguing, right? So, the Wolfpack last year were a little bit bigger of a show because they were the #2 team. Now they're kind of the #3 team locked in, right? Last year they had a little bit more fanfare, a little bit more media coverage and stuff. They've been flying under the radar, mostly because of their early exit from the playoffs last year. So now going into this year, is their price down or up from last year? I can't say it's up, but I really can't say it's really down because people are saying, whether I agree with them or no, I agree with them. Across the board from 1 to 9, there was more competition this year than last year, 100%. So being that they dropped in the standings, right, they might have dropped a little bit in terms of their play, but they were amongst a better field. Okay, so I'm gonna say there's no change in this one. I'm gonna say they held serve. And are they a buy, a sell, or a hold? I'll put them at a hold. For next year, I'll put them in a hold. Because I don't know what else is coming in, but the Wolfpack I don't think are going to really take off. I don't think they're going to plummet. They are they are the most stable team in semipro football in this area. Oh, you're tagging me like men. Yeah, y'all tagging me like men. Wow, okay. No, we were saying, see, that's why I don't like you. We said that you had a good point, and then you're talking about who's tagging you. You had a good point yesterday. I still don't like you, but you had a very good point. Kingston Lions. Kingston Lions, we didn't know what they were. If you look at the preseason rankings, they were at the bottom of the rankings. So no doubt that even though they are #4, considering where they were and where they were ranked, their stock is up. Again, let me clarify this, right? Just because your stock is up here doesn't mean that your price is higher than the teams that are above you. Let's make sure that we understand that. So, Kingston Lions, I like the group they got together. I think it has staying power. I think they got some momentum after having Deet Stadium under construction and kind of losing their footprint on that area. I think they've regained it. So I'm going to put this as a buy because I think they have the ability to climb from here. So I'd put that as a buy. New York Dolphins. New York Dolphins, last year, a lot of media, a lot of fanfare and such. They came out like world beaters. Last year, they made a couple of missteps. I think they put themselves out front a little bit too much on things that didn't really much matter with football. This year, they gained the respect of a lot of teams on the football field. They maintained a quality organization. They made a few changes. I like it. I think their price is up from last year. Anybody disagree with me that their price is up from last year? Let me double check to make sure that anybody's trying to jump in the conversation. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. All right. Anybody going to argue with me that the Dolphins are higher stock this year than last year? Cool. So, Dolphins up from last year. Now going into next year, I don't know. I'm going to put this as a hold. Have they peaked? I don't know. Could they have peaked? They absolutely could have. I'm going to put that as a hold. New York Crusaders. Oh, man. New York Crusaders had a lot of momentum last year, especially in a championship game appearance. So, being that they came out the gates and had to get a lot of help to get into the playoffs, stock is down. Now, going into next year, if they have a mediocre season, right now, I'm going to put this as a sell, right? Because I think they're going to go back down and then have to rebuild and retool to come back up. So, Staten Island Hurricanes. Staten Island Hurricanes made their debut last year. Strong debut. This year, year two, which for semi-pro teams is the toughest. So you're not the brand new thing on the block, the brand new product. So that some of that luster wears off. So you got to kind of put in the work and earn some of your respect, as opposed to get it from cool uniforms and Facebook posts and things like that. And they've done that. So they didn't do enough to make it into the playoffs. However, I think their team this year showed more fight and had more consistency. That's the big thing. Forget the fight. Consistency than they did last year. So I'm going to say their price is up. Now, going into next year, what are the Hurricanes going to look like? This one is an interesting one. Are they going to all of a sudden have this huge upturn? I don't think that they will, especially as more teams come in or teams that get better. So is there something on the horizon that will cause them to plummet? No, because they're in Staten Island. They're by themselves. I'm going to put this as a hold. Brooklyn Bengals. Brooklyn Bengals last year kind of flew under the radar. They played a couple of tough games. They were what they have traditionally been, a team that doesn't play a lot of... The Lions still adding people last week of the season. Now, it's not adding people. So, for Kevin... Who's that? No, yeah, that's Kevin. Kevin, if he's on the roster, he's legal for the regular season. If he didn't have a video check-in for 4 games, he's ineligible for the playoffs. That's the rule. So, Brooklyn Bengals. Are the Brooklyn Bengals better this year than they were last year? I don't think so. So I think their stock is down. I liked them better last year, which is why I was buying them in the beginning of this year, so I might feel a little jaded because of that. The Brooklyn Bengals going into next year, let me just say this as a sell. You gotta put some effort and resources into that program to get it moving a little bit, because you're now getting into a environment where there are teams that are coming in that are putting in a lot of work. How much you get? Yeah, my God. There's teams putting in a lot of work. A lot of work. It's like, Molly, okay, they might have said that at the rules. Go back to the beginning of the show, and then go back to the beginning of the show. I definitely went over that already. So, Brooklyn Bengals, I'm going to put a cell next to this. The only thing that's going to get them to have their stock go up next year is calling TYJ, getting the media thing going, refreshing the uniforms. I love the uniforms, but just a little refresh on them, get those helmets done the right way, put out a commercial or two, put from the organizational end, hey, we're alive, we're the Bengals, this is what we've been about. We've been around for over 10 years. I think just putting the spotlight, putting a little polish on it, will get that stock to rise. Will Edgy do that? Is what people are betting on. So I'm not betting on that to happen. Although they did come out with the bust week 1. I'm going to put that as a sell right now. New England Black Panthers, price absolutely plummeted. I think, well, whenever you tap out of a game, it's bad. Whenever you fold, it's horrible. But they were a team that had expectations based on being in a environment that they had no competition. So you could have took all of New England and put them on a bus and played. Why that didn't happen, only they know. But they had the resources to be able to get it done, and they didn't get it done. So will that change next year? I don't think so, because that stink usually stays with you, especially if you don't finish the season. It does stay with you, and then you take from there. Seen all of them, and none of them with the energy. No new lineman, just the kicker. Gotcha. Oh no, Molly, we're not doing the that type of commenting. Don't do that. Respect the platform, please. Or again, you go live on your own, like you do, and speak however you want to speak. But don't do that on my platform. Foreign exchange. Let's talk about it. New Jersey Militia. We saw their name up. We've seen what they're about. And you guys are good. Okay, so if you're debating about a kicker and his eligible, actually no, let me not say that because that's trivializing it. And I said he had a point. If you guys are debating about the roster rules, cool, no problem. Do that on another post. We've already discussed that, and we're moving on. So the New Jersey Militia, seeing what they're about, their price is up from last year. I think they got more of a profile and more attention now that the Den is not around. So they were the top dog in that area, so that's a big buy. New Jersey unit, some of the same when it comes to the teams around them that weren't able to get to the field. So they're benefiting from less competition in the area. The Owls, after plummeting and being left for dead, now in the playoffs, now surging. They're not up, but holding, because they did exactly what we thought they were going to do. Delaware Wolfpack, after being a doormat in the Den, are now a playoff team. Their stock is up. Connecticut Falcons, after not fielding a team at all last year and folding before the season started, are now an undefeated team. Their stock is up. Cardinals started by struggling, and now, although they made things hard for themselves, are now back in the dance. Is that an up? No, I think that's an even, because they ended up where we thought they would be. But I'm not going to say their stock is up, because if they had handled business earlier like they could have, they should be one of these undefeated teams that are going into the championship game with a chance to really make a run at nationals. And of course, the Bullies are at Enron status. They absolutely imploded. Went from a championship team to a team tapping out. Is absolutely crazy. The Militia, I'm going to buy this. New Jersey unit, especially if they make a playoff run, I'm going to buy that. The Owls, that stock is way too volatile for me, so I'm going to sell this. Delaware Wolfpack, heavy buy on that one, because again, they went from seller to the top. Connecticut Falcons, this is always a good stock to have. So I think last year was their only hiccup, really. Cardinals is also a hold. Always good stock to have. It's like Walmart stock because the Cardinals are always going to compete. And the Bullies, Bullies are a sell. And that is it. So that's my semi-pro stock exchange. Way too early with Pat. Happy Memorial Day. I was able to head out to Tibbetts Park for the Conrad Coleman Memorial, was it flag game or touch game, what do you want to call it? Absolutely awesome. Big shout out to Dave Collier. Big shout out to Miss Coleman from Intellectus Prep, my son's teacher, who's also Conrad's sister. And this is about supporting people. You know, we have people that we lose along the way, and that list is way too long, by the way. And oftentimes after the funeral service and after the memorials and after the balloons go up, we lose touch with their memory and, more importantly, their loved ones who are still dealing with those losses. So whenever they have these type of events, whether it's a memorial or just big shout out to the 3 Bleezys, because they take time before every show to recognize the people that we lost along the way. It's very important to let them know that, hey, just there's never, you have to move on, but there's no real way. There's always a hole that is left by somebody significant in your lives that you lose. So big shout out to them. And again, everybody who's no longer with us, we appreciate your memory and what you did for us while you were here. I pain them. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Ha! Who called you a liar? Okay, I look forward to that debate. That's awesome. Cool. So Thursday show information will be out. It will not be here because I got court on Friday. Free the bro. So either way, this is Way Too Early Pat. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Again, thank you for those that served this country. My brother Derek Patterson, who was in the Army, and my other brother Nico, who was in the Navy. Appreciate you for your service. And to all those that made the ultimate sacrifice in those services, we appreciate your sacrifice and thank you for everything you do. For another episode, Pat Bleezy.